Hello, and welcome to an informational webinar called Bridging the Divide. This is a time when I will share a model third grade lesson that's been specifically designed for distance learning. This project has been sponsored by CLIC, the Content Literacy Inquiry Civics Project, which is the project that is implementing is helping districts implement our state framework. So we've been working for the last 3 years, and this past year, because of COVID-19, we realized that something teachers might really benefit from is example lessons of how to reach our students with the best history, social science instruction through distance learning. So the strategies and format that I'm sharing today works well for distance learning, but also can be very adaptable to a hybrid model. So the project is wonderful because it has model lessons for grades K-12 in history, social science. So they don't encompass an entire curriculum. There's specifically lessons that are here for you to use as is, or to use as a guideline or idea seeds for implementing your own curriculum through distance learning. So we're hoping that it's valuable to you and that you can utilize these and share them and make them your own, but hopefully benefit and allow your students to have the best in history, social science instruction while they're at home during our distance learning times. So we'll go on and let me share with you the format that we've used for all of the lessons. And we chose to use the 5E format. The 5Es, which I'll share in a minute, is a common format used in many lesson plans. In fact, it had its origin in science, but we found that it was very beneficial for history, social science, especially in a distance learning digital format. It aligns with HyperDocs, so you will see times in the lesson where you will be able to click on primary sources, graphs, maps, brainstorm charts, Jamboards, and various tools that will hook you right into what you'll need to make the lesson accessible to your students. And we're using things that are free and easy and simple. It's easy to follow, hopefully, very well written and described for you as a teacher with everything you need embedded. And I'll give you a little bit of background information on the 5E format. And also when you get this slideshow, you can click on these and find more information on the 5Es. So I'll share this slide, which is a combination of both of those previous sites. But the 5Es stand for engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. And so in each of the phases, we have activities that are synchronous for your live class time, whether you're using Zoom or Google Meet or any other program. So there are ideas for engagement, explore, explain, elaborate, evaluate in synchronous class time. And there's also ideas in all 5 areas for asynchronous class time. So it is a model that we think will be useful to you because it allows students to explore and explain and do all of the E's in both styles of learning or in both formats of learning. When we ask students to engage, these are things that we normally do with our students in person. So we're tapping and building background knowledge, basically getting our students ready to learn. We're cultivating that curiosity and just getting them to a point where they want to know more. They want to come back and keep learning and find the answer to their compelling question. The explore phase is really the learning experiences. The explain phase is when we're asking students to synthesize new knowledge, ask questions, seek clarification, and hopefully boost their understanding. The elaborate phase is when we ask students to apply what they've learned. So they develop a deeper understanding, they might create, investigate further, and this is a time where students really cement their knowledge. In the evaluate phase, there's ideas for formative assessment as well as summative assessment at the end. So it points out throughout the lesson where you can observe, monitor, and adjust your instruction, and what you can look for during those times with your students to help drive your next steps of instruction. And then at the end, of course, there's a summative assessment piece or ideas of where in the lesson you can utilize the activities for assessing what students have mastered and learned. Evaluation is at the center of the other E's, so we're constantly monitoring and constantly adjusting as we go. My name is Rebecca Valbuena, and I am a teacher of the past 30 years, elementary in the Glendora Unified School District and the Baldwin Park Unified School District, both in Los Angeles County. The last 5 years of my career, I've been a teacher on special assignment in charge of professional development and academic coaching. During the last 3 years, I've been a CLIC team member for Los Angeles County, and that encompasses Region 11. So there's a CLIC team for each region of the state, and I'm honored to have worked in Region 11. On the side, I'm also the president-elect of the California Council of the Social Studies, a wonderful organization that promotes the teaching and learning of social studies, K-12, and I am currently a board member of the National Council for the Social Studies. On the side, I am a history methods instructor for pre-service teachers at Cal Poly Pomona. So history social science is something I'm very interested and passionate about, and I'm excited to share some model lessons with you. The third grade lesson that I'm sharing today is just one of a few that will be available online. There will be a total of 5 eventually, and so continually adding to those. This lesson is called Rules, Laws, and Government, and it is in the standards to have students understand and apply their knowledge of the structure of our government, the importance of rules and laws, and good citizenship. Throughout the lesson, we tried to address the challenges of distance learning, and we all have been doing this since March. So we know that student engagement is a challenge, and keeping students interested and learning. We're hoping that the strategies and format that we're using helps address many of those challenges. Student engagement, as I mentioned, and relevancy, making sure that what we're studying is connected to their lives and important to our students. There's also plenty of options for student learning and assessment along the way. Our lessons, K-12, are always addressing our standards and framework. They have integration components with English language arts and English language development standards. And also, when appropriate, you'll see there are connections to other areas of the social studies, economics, geography, civics, and social justice. And we do point out in the lessons where there's SEL integration, technology tools, specialized technology tools, VAPA integration, STEM, math, science, LGBTQ plus history, etc. So in parentheses, just as the educator, you'll know when you see indication that there is a connection to other content areas. So let me give you a quick tour of this lesson and the format. When you go to the links, you will be able to choose from the third grade lessons. And the one I'm sharing today is called Rules, Laws, and Government. As it loads, you will be able to see that each lesson has its cover page with the grade level and title. And then there's an acknowledgement page where you can see the organizations and individuals who are diligently working to provide this wonderful project for you all. The lesson itself is in 5 colors to represent the 5 E's. Our first section is actually a blue section that is all teacher information. So you'll see the learning objective as well as the compelling question. In this instance, the compelling question, why are rules and laws important in a democracy? So that is our overarching question for the entire series of activities that hopefully students can answer well at the end. This lesson can take 4 class sessions. You'll see the timeframes listed below, but that will vary depending on your structure of your individual district and school. Our standards and framework are here. We have listed our ELA connections, our ELD connections, and the supporting questions. So as students answer the supporting questions after individual learning activities, they are able to then answer the overarching question. So in this instance, the supporting questions: what is a law? Why do laws exist? Who makes our laws? What's the basic structure of the US government? And what does our local government do? And all of these are standards-based questions. As we begin the lesson, we start with a read aloud. This is something we would do in a regular classroom, face-to-face, but in this case, you'll read the story Roxaboxen. If you happen to have that book, I would read that out loud, but if you don't have that book, you can click right on the link, and it is a YouTube video of the story being read aloud. So together as a class, you will spend a few minutes listening to Roxaboxen and then have a class discussion in which the questions to guide you, the instructor, are here. So we're helping students to look at that story in terms of social studies. What are the natural and man-made features? How did this little community get its name? And the story is wonderful. It's about a bunch of children who develop a pretend community with the things in their environment. Their asynchronous time has the students doing that themselves. So with parent permission, they get open a junk drawer or a bag of just things in their house and create a pretend community. So there are some questions here to guide them. And then your formative assessment is observing their participation in the class discussion and the understanding of the story that they listen to. In the explore phase, we'll have students share their communities or describe them or share pictures of them. And there's also questions for you to lead as a quick class discussion on your Zoom or Google Meet or whatever platform you're using. As you see the hyperlink, there's a chart where you can click and it will take you straight to a place where you can record student responses when you're sharing your screen. At this point, we ask students to start thinking about what's a rule and what's a law. And they chart their responses by hitting this link right here. You'll be able to chart their responses like you would in a face-to-face classroom. In their asynchronous time, we're asking students to complete a little matrix about rules and laws. It has various places, starting small to big, their home, their neighborhood, moving into the state and the country. What are rules and laws that they know of? Who enforces them? And how do they, as citizens or students, help support those rules? So it's a matrix that they fill out on their own. They come back to class for their synchronous time for the explain period. And then you talk about their matrix and work on a class matrix together. And then there is a place where you'll go for the instructional part of this on a Jamboard. And so they will, basically it's a word sort. When you click on it, it forces you to create a copy so that all of us have our own copy. But you'll see that after, this is a learning phase where together we talk about what words here and phrases go with national level government, state level government, and local government. And while your class is sorting, and you can give them a copy to work in small groups if you have that option to do breakout rooms, or you can do whole class. But you use this as a learning activity and you discuss as you're sorting. So here are the answers for the teacher so that you can help lead the discussion. And then their asynchronous time, they're doing a little bit of writing with a sentence frame, some structured writing. I used to think, but now I know. And that's based on the sort that they just did. When we want our students to elaborate on their learning, in this case, we're going to dive into the Constitution. So there are descriptions of lesson activities to do, and also links to primary sources, to songs, to poems, and getting them started to really study and dive into and do a close read of the preamble. During their asynchronous time, we're asking students to do some nonfiction reading. If you have a textbook that you would like to assign for them to read, that is a good idea to include it here, or you can click on this reading comprehension third grade assignment where they read online. And then they look at Schoolhouse Rock, which you probably remember from your own childhood, and learn the lyrics to the preamble. The evaluation phase, we observe their participation and their responses, and then their asynchronous evaluation is going to be their written assignment. So their formative assessment is actually a nonfiction writing piece, an informative writing piece, which there are guidelines for you to structure that assignment and help them answer the question that is given to them as their compelling question. So I'm hoping that makes sense to you. And as you look through the lesson and read it more carefully, it's really obvious and easy to follow. Our final thoughts, this design is very intentional for distance learning, including those 5 E's and that time for synchronous and asynchronous learning. It involves innovative ways to engage our students, we hope, and it gives them choices. And a lot of the writing is open-ended. This is a really wonderful time to lean into these open-ended assignments because our children have the time to work at home that they may not have had in class. So this is a wonderful time to take advantage of projects and inquiry-based instruction and really lean into open-endedness in assignments. And there are always ways to extend the learning, either with ideas of your own or ideas that are given throughout the lesson plan. There are tons of resources out there, and I'd like to share with you that if you are, this is a website to keep and write down and share with your colleagues, californiahss.org, where there are tons of resources, including links to all of these lessons, K-12. And you will also find a link to the lessons in the notes section of this video. So please use them, take advantage of this, and we hope that they're something that can help you solidify your distance learning in history, social science, and provide in a wonderful format and learning activities for you and your students. So thank you very much for listening and have a wonderful rest of the school year.